All right, what do we have? We have the Spring Major, and it's going to be at Century Harbor. We're still playing the Texas Track 9-hole Cup, but the Spring Major's out, so we can go check it out. We can practice. Let's check it out. It's at Century Harbor, like I said. Here we go, Century Harbor. Now, Tommy's site doesn't have it up yet, so I'm using the Pacific Cup. I think these are all Century Harbor holes. I think. Let's see if they're the same holes. I think that looks the same. Is that the same? That is the same. Yep, that's the same. What are we doing here? This par 4. Is this a par 4? Oh, yeah. So if we bring out, let me think. Put my thinking cap on. This is one of those holes where you do, depending on what you bring out. If you're playing from the second tees and you got a low power ball, you can play over here. I tried for a while playing this hole, if you're playing from the second tees, where I was just laying it up right here. It's easy to overshoot if you're trying to lay it up right here, and I was trying to lay it up right here because the angle to the cup, but it really doesn't matter. There's so much movement down here on the green side that it really doesn't matter. It sucks hitting it from over here because the sand is right in the way. You can come at it from the side and try and go at it. But there's so much movement, and it's so damn steep down in here that if you're trying to come at it from an angle, your ball, it's all jacked up. But if you're playing from distance, like a one-on-one play, especially from the pro tees, like getting back out in here, another thing you can do from the pro tees, just to cover pro real quick, is you can do a rough bump off of this area and bleed it out into here. And this isn't actually, that's not too bad of a shot. The deal here is that it's super easy to screw it up on the first bounce and end up getting stuck back here, and then you're screwed. In rookie, however, we do have some options. You can, if you bring out the right stuff, try and go for the green, where you're getting a bounce. You're getting, I think we're hitting all the way over to the other side. We might be here. Maybe. I'm not sure. You can bounce it from here, obviously, and try and bring it over. If you're doing this really kind of lends itself for this kind of movement. If I can get my freaking pen to work, where it's got this kind of movement where you're trying to get the ball to come down in here. But if you're going to go through all the effort to try and get it to go down in there, if you can hit it straight up and get your bounces right here, you can bounce over if you can just barely get your ball rolling over the edge, there's a pretty decent chance that you're going to roll through that rough. It's so steep that you'll roll through the rough and get onto the pin side. If you, and that's the shot that I'm gonna go for. That is the shot that I'm gonna go for. On this type of hole, I really believe that it's one of those risk versus rewards. Your reward is that you get on the green side and you got a short little pitch. The risk is that you screw it up before then. If you screw it up like in this area, you can still recover. If you screw up right here, you can still recover. So there's not a lot of risk, but the reward is big. And if you're going to go, like I said, if you're going to go through all the effort to try and get down into this zone, I really think it's just worth the extra little bit of effort to try and get on. Let's check it out. See if we get anybody today that wants to practice. I doubt that we'll get anybody that wants to practice. Nobody wants to practice in this. They want to come out here with a freaking Quasar and pound their shots off. Especially, I get it if you go first, because you have no idea what your opponent's going to do. But when I go first and they see that I'm out here like checking out what ball would be best, and I believe in this situation a power 5 ball is definitely best. Top spin boost ball. Power 5 ball gets you so that you can get over that tree. And you can hit from over here and try and bring it around the bend, but a power 5 ball will definitely benefit you here, because you can get over that tree and you can really go for it. But you can see that on a headwind day, this might not be as good a deal. And with this kind of wind, it's unlikely that I'll make it over the top. I'll probably get caught up in this area right here, up on the top. And that's not a bad spot to be, but in a headwind, if you don't have the ball for it, it might be better just to save yourself the ball and bring out a power 3 ball. But hitting that straight up shot, and like I said, with the power 5 ball, you can get over these trees so that you can clear it, especially if you have a tailwind, because then you can use it if you've got a topspin boost ball. You're going to have to hit that with your clubs to see like what your options are. And was that a power 4 ball, and they're able to get over the trees with an extra mile? So if you had an APOC that had all of its power, you'll be able to get over. Now, I've not taken my shot. Why? Hey, keep looking, dude. Like, you don't have to do that. What I'm going to do here, since I don't really want to burn an APOC, and that shot going straight forward is kind of you're just going to have to take it and see what happens. I'm going to try the shot that I was talking about where you're trying to curl it around. Hey, we're practicing, dude. And I will tell you, if I was them, I'm down a shot. I'm not in any big hurry here. Hit it over to the freaking fairway where you really wanted to get. I'm going to bring out... can I do it with a... I might just could. So what I'm trying to do here is figure out the angle. Like this angle right here, so that if I put max curl, I'll end up going down this shot, that row. And that seems about right there. So it's 3.5 divided by 1.3. It's 2.69. I feel like I need to add on a little. 2.69. I'm going to do 3 rings just for safety. One ring great to the right. Let's see if I can get the run down that. Not quite enough. From where I'd set up, I could come in ring and a half to the right to try and get me down that fairway. You can see I wasn't too far off. So my trajectory was on this track, trying to get over here. So where I had set it up originally to do that curl, and you'd have to go back and rewind the video, which is the benefit that you have. Set it up to the right about a ring and a half to try and get that trajectory right. Well, I think I hit that. Did I hit that great to the right? So if I did hit it great to the right, it probably 3 rings to the right. Now, I will tell you that it does you no good at all to do what my opponent just did. We know that he could make it from there, but where were you trying to get to? Hey, why didn't you just hit it out to where you were trying to hit it to? Because now I'm forced to have to make this, because what I really wanted to do is hit it over here so that I could really kind of see what that shot was like if I was over there. But now, because my opponent is not practicing, they're actually playing around, now I have to take the shot. I just do not understand our community. Like, hey, come on, man. Can we not practice? Ooh! What's funny there is I hit it to the right and it came in on the left. And the wind was blowing to the right. And I set it up dead center in the middle of the cup. So you just wasted... My opponent spent a Kingmaker X. Let's think about it. My opponent spent a Kingmaker X to go out there and try a shot. And to me, it didn't look like they knew what they wanted to do on the drive. And I had obviously timed out because I didn't know what I wanted to do on the drive. And I'm shooting video. So my opponent goes out there and hits, and then just decides with their power 4 ball that they're going to try and go in this direction, and ends up in the rough. Okay, where were you really trying to go to? Were you really trying to get into this fairway, or were you really trying to get over here? Or where were you trying to go? Okay, we know we can make it from there. So we don't need to take the shot. We know we can make that. We know that we have the distance that we could go for it if we ended up in the rough, and it's not the end of the world. So why wouldn't my opponent have taken their 4 power ball? Because they learned nothing on that. They went out there and practiced, and they learned zip. 0. You learned nothing from that. The most important thing that they could have did was hit it to where they were really trying to hit to. so that they could have seen, and then do this shot right here with just a normal wind adjustment. Wherever you're at in your club, the wind divided by wherever you're at in your club, and see, hey, wow, it went in, or wow, the wind pushed me off and maybe I need to add on a little bit of wind, or hey, wow, I did a normal pull and I over pulled it, so maybe I need to take off a little bit of wind. They learn nothing about what they need to do down here, and it cost them a power 4 ball to learn zip. Okay, what is the problem with practice? This is practice. Practice. You win nothing. If they shot a hole-in-one on this hole, they would have won nothing. Nothing. I'm just amazed by our community that, like, everybody just, I guess Playdemic has got everybody brainwashed. I just don't get it. I don't get it. All right. Now, there's not a lot of difference between the Rickie and the Pro Tees. In the Pro Tees, I hit from here, and I think with my, I think you are in a driver, and it's a 3 backspin, and I think I was doing like a 20%, like 1.2 times the wind divided by wherever you're at in your club. But it seemed like I was in max club, but that was with a lower power ball. And I'm not a fan of hitting off this island, but I think I am going to hit off the island. I'm not sure. The deal with hitting off the island is I think you can only get like 3 rings, and where I want to be is dead center in the middle of that island so that I have the maximum to pull no matter which way the wind's blowing. Especially if we got variable winds. Like if you set it up right here, that's fine if the wind is blowing anywhere on this side of the line. But if you've got any kind of a headwind and you've set it up right there, now you have to pull over the cliff that goes down to the water. And this cliff is going to destroy your pull. So setting up in the middle and giving yourself the best opportunity, in my opinion, is the best way to go. But we'll see. I should be, let me switch my ball. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, we'll just take the power 3 ball. We'll take the power 3 ball and see. I never hit off the island from the Pro Tees because the wind is blowing so much that you're inevitably going to have to pull over the edge. And so I will bounce it. This is a tough hole. You can get a hole-in-one on this. I mean, it's possible. The deal here is that is this an alternate pin placement? I think this is an alternate pin placement. So with the power 3 ball, I'm right there. Let's swap out and go with a 1 power ball. Gives me a little bit more room to work my shot out. I'm gonna start myself off 4 rings from the edge. That gives me 4 rings. It gives me almost 4 rings to pull back. So I've got a little bit of leeway on days. And you do not want to be close to that edge. Man, this is a suck spot to be in. This pin placement blows. Because if you don't put on any backspin, you're going to roll off the back. But if you put on too much backspin, you're on the edge. So maybe 2 backspin. Whew, man, that is close. Close. That is going to be close. You are really going to need to know what your wind adjustment is. I almost feel like this might be one of those holes that enough people screw it up. Was I in my cataclysm? I thought I was in my apocalypse. Oh, they got a quarterback. Okay, I got you. I was thinking that was a sniper. I was like, how the hell is their sniper up there? And I was in my apocalypse. You could use a rock on this. A rock would be good. That's going to be the trick right there, is not to end up. I'm going to start off with a 10% times the wind. Let me check out, what would a rock be? What would a rock look like here? And I really just don't like that at all. I'm not sure I like that either. I like that even less. It'll be 5-5. Isn't it perfect? I think that was 2 or 3 backspin. I'll have to go back and watch it. That was an overpull. I did 10% there and overpulled it. And my opponent is in the hole. Okay, we'll just do... Oh, I'm not going to get another shot. Damn it. Damn it. Dang it to hell. That really... That new pin... That... Let's look at that. Do we have new pin placements for all of these holes? Is that the deal? The news. The news featuring new hole locations. There we go. I guess we do have new hole locations. That hole is going to blow. I can see that hole right there costing people the tournament, and it might, I'm just saying it might be worth, go ahead and it might be worth it to just put it over here where the old pin placement is, because you do still have the risk of getting your second bounce on the cliff, but it's a little bit easier here because the fairway, the green's deeper over here, where you can just get up on the green and then make your putt and move along, little doggy, and I would bet that there's going to be a pretty good size portion of the bracket that are going to screw this hole up. Probably maybe 20 or 30% of the bracket. And if you can come up here and get a birdie, that's a leg up on a bunch of people in the bracket. It might be worth doing that. You got to be strategic sometimes. I mean, a lot of these holes we can really, really go for it, but sometimes, the way to play the hole is to get up there and get on the green and make your putt and move along. Move along, little doggy. All right. We have some ideas on that. That pin placement is brutal. I really don't like having to bounce off the island at all. I really do not like shots where it's bounce, diddy, bounce, diddy, bounce, and that's a rough way to go. But that might be the way that we have to play that if we really want to go for it. I suppose the other way to do it is to bring out, let's think, let me think here, let me think. Now, I have a Thor's hammer, but what do I have? We've got 50 backspin there. We got 60 backspin there. We got 72 backspin with our quarterback. At 60 backspin, the quarterback might be the way to go unless you have a Thor's hammer that has all of its backspin. And play off the island. Let's try that one more time. And let me put a Thor's hammer in one of these bags. I'll put a Thor's hammer in bag number uno. Now, the first time I was on the hole, I think you would have to play, if you wanted to play off the island, you'd have to play it with a 3 Powerball. And I actually should look before I decide to use my Thor's hammer. Make sure I got some numbers for it. Info. Accuracy 64. I think with the 3 Powerball, it's 1.6 minus 0.1. per ring. Let's try that. Let's try that hole one more time, because I think the backspin weight is definitely the way to go. Let's try it one more time. Let's practice. Let's go back to hole number 2. I bought something to give me some practice tokens, so hopefully I get, I had 8, so hopefully I get a couple. The 6-shooter method, I paid for the freaking, once again, here's another example of how Playdemic can screw something up. I paid 500 gems for 6 practice tokens. Could you not just give me the practice tokens? Do you have to give me the 6-shooter that'll take me 27 rounds to get all 6? Let's do all the backspin and see if it has enough with all of that backspin. We'll get some suck back on that. Let's see what would happen if I had my rock. Not enough backspin. So it'll take a Thor's hammer to get that done. You'll have to have that kind of backspin in order to get it up there. I'm going to do a straight up shot. So 4.2 divided by 1.6. Where am I at in my club? Here's max. I'm probably in like mid club, so it should be 1.8. 2.33 rings. Do I have enough room to work the wind out? Barely. I do. Okay, that's what I'm going to do right there. Thor's hammer. I'm not sure. We'll have to look and see what level a Thor's hammer starts to get good backspin. I'm not sure if you have to get it to level 6 in order for it to get, but I think we'll look. I know when it gets to level 5, it becomes a super usable club. Yeah, so my opponent spent a practice token for that. And that bounce onto the green side along that edge was right on the edge. 4.0. So there's max. So I am at mid when I'm on the island, and I'm going to be dead center. I'm going to center my rings up. 4.0 divided by 1.8 is 2.22 rings. 2.22. Let's get up high enough where we can see what the hell we're doing. There's 222. Oh, then I hit it great. Man, look how far back on that island I hit. If you're going to do that shot, I didn't add on anything. I did a mid shot. I did mid club. I think I needed to add on the islands here, and I was set up dead center in the middle, and I hit about right there. So that was only a couple rings back, but I mean, it pushed me back at least a ring, which is 1.6. So that's like quite a bit. I would think that I think if next time I play that shot in the qualifying round. This is why a lot of people, especially if you haven't played forever and a day, I've had people ask me, why do you go out there and practice on a Monday and not just qualify? And the whole deal is number one, you don't have to spend any gems on practice tokens, and gems are cash. You don't have to spend any cash, and you get a free practice round in the wind that you're going to have. So if you're really working on notes, if you go out there and you scout the course, like what we're doing right now, we're scouting the course, scouting report, and we're trying to figure out kind of what club we need and what ball we need and kind of what directions we're going to go. Then if we do practice, then we get a practice round, but it's not in our favorable wind. But we can go out there and at least see if what we've picked for ball and club is the right deal. You get to go out there on Monday, and now you get to practice in qualifying winds and really kind of take a look at it, really learn from it, and then try and qualify on Tuesday. It's risky trying to qualify on a Wednesday. I don't know how many times I've went out there and been cocky about it and on a Wednesday and got my ass handed to me and not qualified because I waited until Wednesday and there's I don't know what the deal is, just didn't get it right, didn't have enough practice time, whatever. What hole are we on? That was that hole. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. All right. Now, you can. Okay, first of all, let me talk about, you can lay it up here and try and just go for it. And you really need to make sure with your equipment that you bring out the right ball. Not necessarily like you can get here with probably any ball, but getting from here and being able to start off on this side over here to go for the cup might be a little difficult. If you don't bring the right ball, you could find your red line right there, and now you're in a spot of bother, especially on a headwind day where you really got a spot of bother. The other thing you can do, and this is what I do in one-on-one play from the Pro Tee, this is probably the best way to play it, is if you're from the Pro Tee and you're playing with a low power ball like a Quasar, is to pound the shit out of the ball. If the wind is blowing like this, you're going to lay it up. But if the wind is blowing side wind or tailwind, trying to get down here as far as you can and pound the ball as far as you can out into the rough, because from the rough with the Nirvana, you can make it over to the other side and you can run it up to the cup. Get your eagle and move along, little doggy. Okay, let me talk real quickly about this. There's a billion bushes around here. There is okay. This is how crazy Golf Clash is. This actually goes up here, and right here there's kind of a gap where if you were walking along, you could just walk right on it. And then around the edge, all the way back over to the other side, there's a retaining wall. And the retaining wall is really shallow on this side, and then it gets deeper, and in the front it's probably like 6-7 bricks high, and then back here it's like 1. If you get behind the retaining wall, you can hit through it. It's not an obstruction. But Playdemic, in their infinite wisdom, put signs right here in front, and you can't hit through the signs. So if you end up out in here, which is not a bad area to end up in because it kind of opens up the hole for the second shot if you were in the rough, and you can start off out in here and you can kind of go for it, you won't be able to do that because those signs are in the way. Thanks, Playdemic, for putting those signs right where we want to hit, or potentially could hit. Okay, here's the tricky way. If you bring out the right stuff, we got the right kind of wind, and I'm not so sure that on a headwind day that you'll be able to do this. You can bring out the right stuff where you get bounce number 1, bounce number 2 in the rough, and then you bleed out. Now, it seems pretty easy when you're out there and you're doing it. But I will tell you that I have ended up in the drink more times than I can remember. I've ended up in the drink more times than I've ended up in this fairway trying to hit the shot where I get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, get the rough bump, and then bleed out. Where I've actually, especially if you got a tailwind day and you're using the wind, it blows about 100%. So you think it's only gonna, shit, I got plenty of room from my second bounce out here to the rough. I got, a whole ring set. It's super easy to miss it and end up bouncing off of this and getting in the shit. It's also tricky from the angles that we have here. If we draw a line from the tee box to the flagpole, we draw this line to get out into this quadrant. It's a little bit easier to kind of bring the ball and come over here, and because if you're trying to kind of curve it around and use some curl to get out into this area, it's really easy to get caught in the rough right here. You can still make it from there, but it's almost easier to bring it around this way. And the fairway's a little bit deeper here. So if it comes out of the rough a little hot, it doesn't end up just dribbling into the drink. We'll see what it looks like. We'll go look at it. We'll bring a Titan, the king of balls. All right. The deal with hitting out into the rough, if you want to hit out into the rough, you really want to aim towards that freaking flower area out there, but you do not want to aim towards that flower area out there because of those signs. What's jacked up about it is that the retaining wall should be in play. The bushes should be in play. But no, they put the signs in play. And the other stuff isn't. Why? Because Playdemic hates its customer base. They hate us. Okay, I've got a whole ring set. You can see where my second bounce is at. Let's look. Like, look at where my second bounce is. Okay, I'm gonna use the wind. We'll see how far that wind pushes me. Okay, it's 3-4. It's 1.3 per ring, so I'm gonna do 3 rings. That's 3-9, and then I'm gonna push that wind back in. And I think that I have about a better than a 50% chance that I'm going to overshoot it on the first bounce. Whew, close. And now that's what you're looking for. And I really am, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm absolutely the luckiest golfer on the course playing anywhere right now, because I can't believe that wind didn't push me all the way into the rough. That's one of those things where if you, okay, I'll tell you the way that I would play that. I played it straight up there. I did add on 20-30%. I did a 3-9, and what was it, 3-2, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it was like 25%. What you could do is you could do that, and if the wind was higher than 3-2, when you push the wind back in, you don't put it all back in, so that you could try and standardize that, so that you could use just a 3 power ball. But on a headwind day, it's going to be a little bit harder. Grizzly. There's max. There's min. There's mid. I'm right at mid club. And it looks pretty damn flat to me. Pretty flat. And you can see you're going to need something with backspin. This might be a good time for a good shot for a, is that a B52? I'm not sure. Nah, maybe a B52 doesn't have all of its backspin. I'm at mid club. I'm going to do 4-4. Since we're out practicing, let's have some fun. Hitting it perfect. Close. Close. Grim Reaper. I think a Grim Reaper is along there. With 100% backspin, or 90 something. And my angle there, you can see how far your angle needs to be in order to, like, if now a bigger side spin ball, I could have started off on the right hand side to try and bring it back around. I was trying to get the ball to go to the left a little on the drive, to, like I said, to give me a little bit more fairway to deal with. But in going to the left on the drive, it put me right. I mean, it puts the sand more and more and more into play. Let my opponent practice, because that's definitely an area that you might end up having to get to. And so having a little bit of confidence in this shot could be big. They were on track though. It's like one more backspin or a little bit further away from the cup or something. Hitting it, hitting it. All right. Let's see. I think it is a Grim Reaper. That might be the... If you're ending up in that spot, or if you're going to hit to that spot, because I really, like... That was somewhat risky with the Grizzly, because you could bounce off the backside. You could hit the flagpole on it, and God, jeez, who knows what will happen when you hit the flagpole. But let's look. I think it is a Grim Reaper. One of Dale Appleby's favorite clubs. It is the Grim Reaper. 100% backspin. And I think it gets its backspin relatively quickly. I think that's it. Now you got 67 there, but what does my Grizzly have? It has 70. Goliath, it's got 70. I think the Tsunami when it gets maxed out, but Tsunami at level 5's got 100. But the Ball Guide blows. B-52 never gets any. Saturn actually might be the club. And I like a Saturn. I played a lot with a Saturn. A Saturn might actually be a pretty decent club. If you don't like playing with a Grim Reaper, a Saturn might just be the way to go. Let me look at long irons here. When does the Grim Reaper... I think the Grim Reaper gets all of its backspin relatively quickly. It gets 100 at level 6. 83. Saturn might be the best choice. I think for a lot of players, that might be the only choice. If you wanted to bring out... Because the Saturn gets it to 92. It doesn't get its 92 until it's maxed. But it gets 82 at level 8, and level 8's pretty easy to achieve. So definitely think about what club you want to bring on that second shot. If you're ending up in the area that I was at, a Grim Reaper might be the choice, because it does get 91. It gets 83 at level 5. Maybe. And it's a lower level epic, so you will get some of those. We're going to have to really think about what we bring on that second shot if we're going to end up in that area. I think maybe the Saturn might be the better choice. Grim Reaper, for me, the Grim Reaper's not too bad. Not too bad. While we were there, while I'm here, let me go. We'll go back to the first hole. Oh, you could bring a rocket on the first hole. Rocket, if you got a maxed out rocket, you could bring a rocket. It's got 98 backspin. What else do we got here? What other backspin options do we got? I think 98 is probably going to be, if you've got lower level stuff, 98's, that rocket might be the might be the ticket. Yeah, and you got to have a Thor's Hammer 6 in order to get the 97. So that first hole, that rocket might actually be... I can think of at least 2 other par 3s in the game that the rocket is a viable option. Like I think I've probably played like everybody else out there. You get a rocket when you, like the very first day you start playing. I played with my rocket for a few games, but then you get rid of it as soon as you can. As soon as you get an extra mile. All right. Those are our options there. That might be a viable way to go on that one hole, that one par 3. Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. That might be, the rocket might be the way to go. All right, hole number 4. Hole number 4. Okay. If I remember correctly, there's like a plus 10 to the cup. And there's a rough bump that you can do, and I'm not so sure that you can get it. You might be able to get it done. Let me think about this, because I believe there's a red line issue here depending on what ball you bring. And I think if you bring out a Goliath, you can use a power 3 ball. But if you use a power 3 ball and you have a Grizzly, you're going to end up being in a red line issue that you might need to bring a Katana in order to be in your sniper. And what I'm going to try and do is hit onto this island. So we're trying to bleed onto the island, try and do a rough bump onto the island, and then from the island go towards the cup. But there was a ball issue. And if I'm not mistaken, having more side spin at your disposal for the second shot is beneficial. is beneficial. And I'm sure that there's somebody out there that would disagree with me, but you can get your ball into here and you're going for the deal, that there would be somebody that goes, no, man, you come out into this area right here and you take the shot. I will never demo that. Really, there's only one way. In my mind, there's only one way that to viably play it is to try and get onto the island and then go for it. Now, if you get onto the island and you get into the rough, what I see a lot of people do, and what I've seen a lot of people do when they end up in trouble on this, is you're in a spot of bother because you can't make it. But what you can do is you can use this little island right here. And this is one of those situations where you apply a couple backspin and you can try and curl it around and bring it over into this area so that you can make your short chip and you can recover, instead of just trying to push the issue and going for it this direction. It's like this island is like an optical illusion. Nobody sees it. It's like it's invisible to everybody when they get into trouble. I don't know if they're panicking or what the deal is, but I see very few people use this island, but I have overshot this I don't know how many times. And when you overshoot it, you use the island, use a couple it'll take a couple backspin so that you can really kind of make this curve with your Nirvana and just lay it up over here so that you can go for it, or recover, I should say, recover. I'm going to bring a katana. For some reason, it just feels like a katana is what I'm supposed to be bringing. And let me switch that up for my APOC. You can do it with an extra mile. You can do it with, I'm pretty sure from Ricky, you can do it with anything. I'm not necessarily so sure that you have to bring out a big hitter. And I'm going to use my Goliath because for some reason it feels like I need to use a Goliath as well. I think you can do it with a Grizzly, but I think that the red line issue is a bigger deal. Like, you really have to be in the right spot in order to use your Grizzly, and you could find yourself in the wrong spot very easily. But if you have a Goliath, you're always hitting it with your Goliath and you're not hitting it with your wood. It might be on a headwind day that it would be better to bring out a power 3 ball so that I have some room to work out headwind. We'll have to see. I know that on the second shot, it can be tricky depending on what ball and what direction the wind is blowing and what club you have. This is why when you're watching people and they're like, oh, this is how you play it, and you look in your bag and you're, well, I don't have any of that shit. Well, that's the whole deal is that you have to figure out how to play it with your clubs, because everybody's got different clubs. My job is not to tell you how to play. My job is to just give you ideas on different ways to play the hole, or like looking at it outside the box. Or I'm going to use 3.5. I'm pretty sure I've been doing 10% here, so it's 1.1 times 3.5 divided by 1.3, 2.96. Somebody commented on the channel that I was doing my APOC at 1.2. I always play it at 1.3. I think it is like, it's 3 rings. I think the comment was, it was 1.32, and I think that is correct. I think it is like, there is a fractional number that's in there, but I just do it at 1.3. The way it's supposed to be. If I look at my notes here, where is my APOC? APOC. It's like 1 point. Now, I don't actually have my new APOC numbers written down. I think it's 1.3 plus 0.1. Something like that. Now, my opponent's going to show us that I'm wrong, and they're going to hit it with a Marlin, and they're going to hit it straight forward. So get on it, bro. Get on it. I am so happy that they're doing this, because you're going to get to see what it looks like from over there. And I'm not saying you can't make it from over there. I'm just saying that I don't like it. I don't like it. So you can see my red line is right there. So with a 3-power ball would definitely help me. That is definitely a G string. I like that area right there a little bit better. It gives you a little bit, but the other was from over here, and I'm not going to have enough side spin to get me into that area. Let's see if I have enough side spin to get me. If I had a 4 side spin ball, I might be able to use that. I like that area right there. It's a little bit wider than the little freaking G string that's right here, because this area right here, if we don't get the wind absolutely correct, and I believe it is 10%. So I'm going to set up an equation. 1.1. What kind of spin do I have on that? 3 top spin. 1.5 right hand side spin. And I am definitely at max club. So it's 1.8 times the wind divided by 1.8. And this might not... I'm almost distressed having to say it, that like with this new pin placement, maybe that going straight isn't so bad after all, because they actually had a shot at it. That rough bump is super makeable. I've made a bunch of shots on this, but with them changing it, before you could come over here and you had a little bit more room. 3 and 1.5. Let's get right dead center in that. 4.4, 2.68 rings. Let's see how bad we can screw this up. Nothing can go wrong with this shot. That's one thing that can go wrong. Man, that would be tough. A power 3 ball right there would have been better. That would have gave me some room. I think if you want to do the rough bump on this, there is a rough bump right there, but it's taking out half the days of wind, because that rough is running like this. So any kind of wind where we have to pull back over the sand, it's really going to be difficult, because there is some distortion of the rings there. You're really going to have to be spot on. And any day that there's a headwind, we're definitely going to have to bring out a power 3 ball in order to give us enough room on our red line in order to work out the wind. I like these wider areas because it gives you a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more separation from the sand. But in order to get the ball to the cup, we're going to have at least a 4 side spin ball. I think we could probably use the spot over on the right hand side that's really good with a 5 side spin ball and try and bring it around to the cup. But I guess I'll have to take back my original assessment that we never hit it straight forward. Maybe with the new pin placement, hitting it straight forward is not such a bad deal. I'm not sure what kind of an adjustment we'd have to make here, because you're down here and you got that big ass hump and then you're going to the green. So I'm not sure if the green isn't fairly close to being the same level as you or where it's at. Ah, man, I really did not like the shots to the cup with that rough, unless you want to bring out the right ball to do it. And I really like this area here, because you can kind of center yourself up in the middle and give yourself a little bit more leeway. You're giving yourself 2 or 3 rings from the fringe, 2 or 3 rings from the sand, 2 or 3 rings from the sand, and be right dead center in the middle, and then make your adjustment to the cup. So it gives you, if you make a bad pull or if you don't adjust correctly, you're still going to end up bouncing through and getting onto the green. But that little G string that I hit off of is not even this area over here. It's not really, I mean, it's just a little teeny bit wider where it makes the bend right there. I think if you wanted to do the rough bump, trying this with a 5 side spin ball might be the way to go. Or doing what my opponent did and just try and come straight at it with your sniper. Got some options there. Got some options. All right. All right. What is our next hole? Hole number 5. New pin placements. New, I say. Now this is another one of those sucky ass holes. Okay, I don't care where the pin's at. I do not care where the pin is at. I'm going to say that. I'll say it again. I do not care where the pin's at. I will never hit off this island because it is like this. It's like a saddle. Okay? You hit dead center in the middle, your ball goes where you want it to go. You make a bad pull, you make an under pull, you make an over pull, you hit it great to the left or the right, and you're hitting on this right here, and your ball is going to take a shot. And you're going to be off trajectory. It is super difficult to hit off of this type of terrain. And I mean, this right here is mild. I really think it's like this. This mound blows. You could bring out something big and try and backspin it on. I have been working on this from the pro tees, and I'm not sure what it'll look like from the rookie tees, but from the pro tees, I've been trying to work this area right here where I do a first bounce rough bump, and then it kind of rolls down towards the cup. It doesn't, the thing about setting this shot up is it doesn't look right when you set it up. You think you need to put a bunch of topspin on it, but what you need to do is put some backspin on it. And it barely comes out, and once it hits the green is kind of troughed like this, and once you hit it from up here, then it'll just roll down towards the cup. But we'll have to see where the pin is. We'll have to see. We'll look and see where the pin is. Everybody in the house is starving. They're probably going, are you going to make dinner tonight? We're having chili Colorado. Chili Colorado. I made 5 gallons of it about a month ago and packaged it up. I make meals to freeze, so when I make them, I don't mess around. Now there is also a rough bump that you can do from over here. Let's see what that looks like. What do I have for spin on that? 2 and a little, 1 and a little. Two. Where am I at in my club? There's max. There's min. So I'm a mid club. Two and a little, 1 and a little. It feels like this is going to be. I have no idea what the adjustment's going to be on it. So I'm just going to hit it straight up. That was a mid club. And what's mid? What is my mid Guardian? 1.3 per ring. Now that might not be a bad area there either. But I think that'll take a bigger side spin ball. I think, actually, now that I sit and think about it, I think that's how I was playing it in rookie. I think in pro, you got to bring out bigger stuff than what I have. I think that's how, I think that's where I was playing it. Let's look at that. We'll see if we can get there with a 3 side spin ball. We're still eking. We're eking max here, but I don't know if we can get it. We'd have to use that hill now. I'm gonna try this shot just because. 1 and a little, 2 and a little. 4.5. 4.5 divided by 1.3. I'm going to do a straight up shot and see what the deal is. It's 3.5. Ah! We learned nothing. Boy, I barely hit that. Barely hit that. Look at all the movement on that. I feel like some of these holes, like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get into trouble on some of these holes. Like this might be one of those holes that once again where we get a percentage bigger than normal. Like normally 100 people that play a par 3, you know, you're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that screw it up, but on this hole we might end up with 15%. Hole number 6. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I got the rice started. What hole are we on? Where are we? I forgot where we were at. Oh, we did that hole. We did that hole. I'm going to have to think long and hard on how I want to do that. Okay. I'm not sure that our options are any different than before. We're trying to get out into this zone. Now, if you're playing from the Pro Tees, you can come around this way and you can end up here. If you bring out something big, it'll probably take something big in order to just land out in this area and push it forward. But in Rookie, if you bring out a 3-power ball, you can start off in this area and just run it. If you end up in the rough here, it's not a bad deal. You can still recover if you got a Nirvana. But when you start getting on this side and you're screwed up, now you're starting to get a little bit hinky. There is, depending on where the new pin is, there used to be, if we were out in this area, there was a rough bump that we could do here and go at the cup, and it was really pretty good. If the wind is blowing the right way and you have the right stuff, then it's going to take a big hitting club and a big ball. And you're going to have the wind at your back. You can try and get a bounce out here and go bounce number 1 and try and get bounce number 2 and do a rough bump, and you can bleed out into this area right here. And I'm kind of 50-50 on this. 50% of the time I'm either in the fairway or in the rough over here and okay, and 50% of the time I'm in the drink. But there is a way that there is an opportunity to go over there, so we'll have to see. We'll see where the stuff is. I'm pretty sure no matter what, a 3-power ball is kind of like the place to start. It's all going to be really here about pin placement, because before we did have a really nice rough bump that we could do, but not anymore. Yeah, I was talking about that chili Colorado. I make I got like 8 different pre-made meal things. Like I make taco meat. I usually make like 3 gallons of taco meat at a time, and with the chili Colorado I make 5 gallons at a time. Spaghetti sauce, split pea soup, a couple different types of soup. I make some chili meatballs. If I'm going to make those things, some of that stuff, especially like and I make tamales. I make tamales several times a year, 100 at a time. Usually I don't give them away. If people want to eat them, they have to come over and eat them. That stuff takes a long time to make. Like, it's one of those things that with the chili Colorado, there is a lot of work that's involved. So it's not one of those things you want to just get up and like, well, I'm gonna, when you get home from work, it's like, well, I'm gonna make chili Colorado. It takes a while. It's not hard to make. It's just there is some effort involved in it. Yeah, I need a little teeny bit of spin. 3-1. I'm going to do 3-3. 3.3 divided by 1.3. I'm going to add on some wind. 2-5-3. Just 2-5. And we just need to hit it perfect. Hitting it perfect. The tamales really aren't that bad if you've got people helping you. If you got one person doing the masa and one person making the filling, and you've got people to help you when you get to the point where you're assembling. But my wife does not like to cook. It's not her favorite thing. And so I usually make them myself, so I have to prep. It takes me 2 days to make the tamales. I have to prep everything up and get everything ready. And when I make the chili Colorado, there's a whole bunch of prep work with all of the searing all the meat and prepping all the chilies. And yes, sir. I just had everybody over because I made some jambalaya. I made a couple gallons of jambalaya and had a bunch of people over, and we ate jambalaya. Guardian. Okay, so you could be in your sniper. I forgot to switch bags. There's mid Guardian. I'm going to do a straight up shot. 3.6 divided by 1.3 is 1.3 rings. White ring off on the white ring. Yeah, that's a lot of backspin. Yeah, I might want to get that close. White ring between the fairway and the fringe. 2.76 rings. 276 exactly. Hitting it perfect. Main thing here is to see if it's pushing it off the hole, or if it came in. It did push it off the hole a little bit. So on the rough bump that we were doing, we had to do 10% on that. We had to add on 10% to the shot, and it looks like it's the same. You never can tell when they move the holes, because like you can take, I think of Nordic Fjord as an example. They moved the pins, and all of a sudden we went from a 20% adjustment to a 60% adjustment. And the cup is 5 feet away from where it used to be. So any adjustments that you have from the past may work, and they may not. But I would say there we definitely needed to bring out a sniper. We'd have a little bit better ball guide for that. We could have been back a little bit farther and ran it up there. But it looks like the 10% adjustment might still be in play. All right, where are we? Where are we? What hole are we on? We're on hole number 7. Hole number 7. I see a lot of opportunities on this course for people to blow it big time. This is another hole right here that if you've got tailwind and we're trying to get into this area and we're trying to pound it down there as far as we can to get as much distance here so that we can try and get as big a run on the other side. That, let's say you had a 3-mile-an-hour wind. It is pushing you 6. It is so easy to overshoot this shot down here and put too much on it. This is where a topspin boost ball would come in really handy, because you can try and get, like there's a gap here, it's kind of obscured by the trees, and trying to get a run through that gap. And you want to be in a spot so that, I don't know where the new pin is, but where you can clear those trees. So like getting up there close enough. There isn't much more on the left, on the right hand side. Unless they put the pin close. I almost feel like if I was setting the shot up, I'd put it way back here in the back left, so that if people overshot it, they have a bigger chance of ending up in the drink, since there's no rough back there to catch them. I'd be a total D-bag about it. But you got to really watch it down here. It is super easy to overshoot this on a tailwind day. And headwind is pushing against you the same way. So like if you think you're going to, you're coming out here and you're like, oh, I got plenty of room to make it, and you're in a headwind, you might not. You might not. I think bringing out a bigger ball is helpful. Bringing out a ball that's got topspin boost is definitely going to be helpful. I bought some of those 9 topspin boost balls, so I think I could make it all the way to the green if I got it right. You didn't buy any of the 9 topspin boost balls? I'm going to bet by the end of this year they come out with a power 6 ball. Because if you don't like being in front of the signs, you need a little bit bigger ball. So we've already broke the game. That's why we had to put signs in play, because we had to start blocking people's shots because they were making too many shots. That's why we put the signs in play. Now what we need to do, now that we have the signs in play, now we need to come out with a power 6 ball. And I'm going to bet money. I'd bet $1 that by the end of the year, they come out with a power 6 ball. Or a precision 6. They're going to come out with something that's a 6. They've pretty much got everything covered now. All right. Now I theoretically have lots of room. Lots and lots of room. It's 1.3 per ring, so 2 rings is 2.6. I'm going to do 20. 1.2 times 2.9 divided by 1.3. 2.67 rings. Getting it perfect. We'll see how much it kills it on the other side. Look, you can see how much room I have. We'll see how much it kills it. A topspin boost ball right there. Try and get through that gap. That'd be huge. They did put it on the left side. We've had a great shot on this, and I can't remember what the number is, but there is an adjustment we need to do here, and it is like a 10% plus 0.1, or it's some deal like that, but it is, this hole is definitely makeable. I'm going to do the 10% because I think it was 10% times the wind divided by wherever the hell I'm at in my club. Whatever club I have. Oh, I forgot to switch bags. So I have a Goliath, I'm sure. I am sure of it, because I did forget to switch bags. Oh, I'm in Kingfisher. How lucky is that? And I do have a Goliath. There's Max. There's min, there's mid. I kind of like the mid. I don't really want to have to put that much backspin in order to get up there into my... Let's make sure we're through the cup. I like mid there though. So it's just going to be 3.3 because mid is... No, well, I'm in my Kingfisher. Divided by 1.6. 1.6 at mid. 2.26 rings. There's 2 1/4. There's 2 3. Oh! Man, I would have missed it on the other side. So that 10%, it might be 15. It might be 10 plus 0.2 or something. I think I would have missed it just by the same amount on the other side. I might have clipped the cup, but I think I would have missed it on the other side if I'd hit it perfect. That Kingfisher at mid club is, if you hit it perfect, it's pretty, I mean, it's right there. There's not a lot of distance between a lot of clubs. Some clubs you hit it 1 ring great, and you know it's a distance. But with that club, it's pretty close. Pretty close. All right. I like, of all of the new pin placements, I like that one the best. I like that one more because before, where the pin was at over here in the corner, you really had to get, like, you really wanted to be right here on this side. It was better to be on this side of the fairway. If you draw a line through the fairway, it was better to be on the left-hand side so that you could kind of open that window up to go for it. There is some shots that you could take through the trees for the old one, but the new pin placement, being in the center, even, you know, if you can, it gives you a little bit bigger window to get a shot at a straight up shot at it. And I kind of liked being in mid club there as well. A bigger ball, like a power 5 ball down in here, you might not have to do any of the overpower. You might just be able to take the shot. and run it up, especially if you had a power 5 ball with some topspin boost, you might be able to, if you got your trajectory right, you might be able to get it onto this side, and then you're really in the catbird seat. Really, really, really. Hole number 8. Hole number 8. All right, this hole. When this first came out, Denner and I came out here and we were playing this. We were practicing, and we were really practicing, where we were like trying to set the shot up, and it'd take us like 3 times around before we finally took a shot, because we were checking out balls and checking out what kind of stuff. And it just screams to do a rough bump right here and bring it to the cut, but that's really not, because of the way that the terrain's here. Everything's pushing off to the left, and so even with a bigger side spin ball, it's difficult to do this. I'll be curious to see where they put the pin. Where they put it. It seems like we were doing, Tommy says 15, and it seems like we were doing at least that. At least. And I'm pretty sure that you're taking this with, let me switch freaking bags before I forget. And let me switch balls as well. I'm going to switch to a katana. I think sidespin might be important. Quasar might work. I'm pretty sure. I know from the Pro Tees you're playing it with your driver. Depending on how it goes and what ball you use, some of these holes, it looks like you're going to need some backspin. Don't forget about your rocket. I know that it's not a club that we would normally pull out, especially if you've been playing for a while and you've got your clubs developed. You've forgotten that the rocket is even in your bag or in your garage buried behind a bunch of crap, but you could dig that sucker out, and it might be the club on a couple of these holes. That first par 3 for sure. If you've got, if and you got it. Now this actually, there's Max. I'm still in my, and this might be another one. If I give myself 3 rings here. There's Max. I am in mid. .15 times 3.8 divided by mid apocalypse. What is mid? Let's think about it. Let me look on my notes here. Do I have notes for a freaking APOC? I have notes for an APOC 8. I was playing an 88, and 88's got an APOC 8, and it's 1.2, but 1.3. APOC 7, mid 1.5. Okay. 1.5. All right, now I got it. Now I got it right. And I think my rocket actually has better ball guide. It might be a better way to go. I think I was blue ring off the sand, and I was like half my clear ring off on the left. And there's 5 full backspin. 3 mile an hour wind, 2.3 rings. If I play it at mid, there's 2, 3. Hitting it perfect. Should get a pretty good look. Way too fast. And I over pulled it with the 15%. Over pulled it. I would try that if you're doing it. I would try it the first time with 0 and then work it from there. And I really think the rocket might be the way to go. Let me look at the ball guide on the rocket. Because I think when you get it maxed out, it's got pretty decent ball guide. If I remember correctly, yeah, it's got 4.2 when it gets maxed out. That might be the way to go. It'll give you a little bit better look at it with the 4.2. And it is just slightly more accurate. So it's at the 1.2 per ring. That might be the way to go. There's two of those par 3s that the rocket might just could have be the way to go. It might. All right, hole number 9. All right. This is one of those throw the ball out there and see where the hell it ends up. If and you get your bounces, absolutely right. Now, and I will tell you from the pro tees, I play to this area right here, and I bring it around and use this hillside to roll it down towards this area, and then you got a second shot. And you have several options depending on the ball that you bring out. There's a rough bump that you could do, depending on where they put the pin. If it was me, I would take that rough bump out of play, and I put the pin more towards the front so the sand was more in play. In rookie, I think we can get a bounce right here, and then we're trying to go through the rough and end up on this area, but you can come in pretty hot here and end up in this rough. If you bring out the right stuff and you got the right wind and you get super lucky, you can get your bounces so that you can get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and you're really trying to go down into this area and hit to right here. And this is where I'm trying to hit to. I may not get to there, and I may have to hit it out of the rough or the sand, but I really want to get there. What you don't want to do is screw your shot up back here. And I think this is another one of those areas where it's super easy to overshoot the drive. It looks like you have a lot of room, but you can overshoot the drive, and your first bounce ends up in the rough, and then you're screwed. If you end up in this rough, you're okay, but if you end up back here, you're in a spot of bother. We'll take a Titan. The king of balls. The king of balls. Da 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 da. Hole number 9. Here we go. Here we go. Yes. I was talking about those frozen meals. My mother-in-law is old, can't cook like she used to, so I make she goes in on not with me. She buys all the stuff and I make the meals, and then I split them with her. I put in all the labor. You can't do it with a low power ball. Let's see how far my opponent can get out there. And the rough. Can you roll out? Ooh, almost. Where is that second bounce? I really want to go for that spot right there, and if I can, I really want to get out here through that rough. So we'll see. Oh, not on a 75 ring, great to the right. Oh, I made it. That's the area I like to get to. It kind of takes if you get to there with the old pin placement, where the old pin placement is here, it takes this rough bump out of play. But I like being in this area because you do have a pretty straight up shot at it. I am definitely downhill. Theoretically, I should be adding some wind on here. I'm going to take the shot just straight up and we'll see. But I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to need to add on like 10 or 20% per 1 mile an hour wind. We'll see where I'm at. There's max. There's min. There's mid. I'm in mid club once again. And it is definitely downhill. You can tell I can't even zoom in on my rings. I'm going to do 20%. 20 times 3.8 divided by 1.6. 2.85 rings. There's 2.85. Exactly. Isn't it perfect? Ooh! Didn't quite pull it enough. Should have been 20 plus 0.1. The deal is it's hard to get to that area. And so you need to know what. So if you go out there and you try to get to that area and you don't get to that area, hit it over to that area so that you can practice that shot several times and see what you need to do. So on the days that you actually get to that spot, you know how to make the adjustment. And on the days you're in the rough, you still know kind of what the adjustment needs to be, but it is difficult to get to that spot. A precision ball would help right there because you're doing those overpower shots and you really do have, it is kind of tricky to get into that area. All right, there you have it. There you have it. That is the holes. That's actually, there's some pretty tough ass holes out there. There's opportunities for us to make shots, but there is a ton of opportunities for people to screw up. And I think on several of those holes, especially the par threes, like this hole, I'm still going to want to go for the green because it doesn't matter where they put the pin. If you're on the green side over here, you're in the catbird seat. But hole number 2, that hole right there, I see a lot of people screwing up on that. I can see a lot of people screwing up on that or not bringing the right stuff. And I think if you want to hit off that island, I think a rocket might work. The only thing about the rocket is it's in order for it to get its 100 backspin, it's pretty accurate. It's at 90 accuracy, so it's that 1.2 per ring. And so I think when it's that accurate, you're going to have like 3 rings. So if you have a wind that's bigger than 3.6, you're going to have to pull over the edge. So you may have to bring out a wind ball to knock the wind down a little. But I think that might be our way to go at it. I will tell you right now, all of those people that are in your bracket that come to this hole right here without a game plan may get lucky, but a bunch of them are gonna fail. You need to have a game plan on these types of holes. This hole right here, the only thing different on this is the pin regularly is over here, so you have a little bit more of a window. So even if you're here, you can start off on this side and you can side spin it and bring it to the cup. But where the pin is now, you're going to need, if you're down into this area and you really want to go for it, you're going to need a club with backspin. So either a Grim Reaper or a Saturn. Something with backspin, a long iron with backspin. Once again, having a game plan. This hole right here, I'm torn because like I said when I was prepping for it, like I'll never show you the shot out here. I always go to the island and do the deal. That's because of this little window that we have right here in order to do the rough bump. But with the pin placement where it's at right now out here, trying to do it on that little G string, it might be better. And you might, and I like the fact that you could run the ball up to it. You have a little bit more maneuverability out here. This shot over on this side might be the way to go. I actually think that it is the way to go. I think I'm going to play it with the new pin placement. I'm going to play it out here. I spoke too soon about I would never hit it out there. So next time I play that, you'll see me play it to that side. I think that, unless you bring out a bigger ass side spin ball, I'm not sure what to do on this. Because this is out of play. I don't care where they move. I don't care if they put the pin on this I'm not hitting to that. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to play this hole yet. This hole right here is definitely worth practicing coming at it. This might be another one of those holes that coming at it with backspin is the way to go, bringing out your backspin club. But this hole right here is definitely, I see a lot of people going to screw up on some of these par threes. And this one's, especially the people that are going to hit off of this, they're going to end up in some weird area. The par threes here are pretty difficult. This hole right here, I actually like the pin placement. The pin placement's in a better spot. If you hit it out there to where I was, you got a pretty straight up shot at it. Pretty nice. Like I said, you can try and get over here, but I'm not sure whether it's worth the risk to try and get over here for that shot as opposed to just taking this. But you can do it. I've done it quite a few times, but like I said, it's a 50-50 deal. And this hole right here, I like the pin placement on this one as well. We got a nice straight up shot. This is going to be another hole. We're going to have a lot of opportunities to pick some holes up on some of these par 4s and par 5s. But the par 3s are going to be pretty difficult. Of the par 3s, this one might be the most straightforward, least risk. But this might be another one of those holes that a rocket works really, really well on. And hole number 9. We know what the deal is there. It's all about the luck of trying to get out into that area. This isn't a bad spot either. And with the pin being up in the front now, it's, you know, either one of these spots are going to be good. It's a little bit easier to try and just leave yourself right here. The thing about leaving yourself on the island here with the old pin placement was it gave you the opportunity to do the rough bump, especially if you're on this side of the island. And if you hit over to this side, it wasn't going to do it. But that's rough bump is completely out of play with the new pin placement. So either one of those would be good. You'd have a better chance of just getting out into this area. What can happen when you just try and get out into here is you hit this little, because it's so short, you hit it a little bit too fast and then it bleeds into the rough here. All right, there you have it. That was, that was like an hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half. Scouting report. That was a good scouting. You got a scouting report, a full practice round, and the whole 9 yards. Man, that's the whole meal deal. Thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe, hit the like button, ring the bell, leave a comment, all that good stuff. It all helps. And I will see you on the next one. Stay safe. Have a great weekend.